Welcome back to Hardball. As Barack Obama comes off a monumental week in his presidency, Republicans across the country are looking for, well, the best candidate to run against him in 2012. In Iowa, this is a big one. Donors, contributors, or big money people are going outside the field. They're planning to fly to New Jersey to try to seduce or court Governor Chris Christie and lure him into running. Can they succeed? Is he someone the White House would actually see as a formidable opponent? Well, David Corn's an MSNBC political analyst and bureau chief for Mother Jones, and John Feary's a Republican consultant. Gentlemen, it's great to have you on. I want to start with the guy who I think might be more attuned to what's actually happening over there. John Feary, it's great to have you on. I'm looking at Chris Christie. I found him. We had dinner with him the other night. He was at the Correspondents' Dinner with NBC and MSNBC. He's a regular person. Forget the politics for me, just regular guy. You can connect with him. What do you think? Is he better than the field you got?
I really like Chris Christie. I think he's in touch with the concerns of the common man. I think he's offers a burly, strong kind of leadership, which I think is very appealing in many ways. You know, for the Iowa conservatives to go court him is kind of odd because he's not necessarily in tune with them on a lot of issues. But, of course, he's also said that he has no interest in running and probably won't run. But I really like the guy.
That's why we like him. I guess why people like anybody. Even in the news business, we always like the guy who says it's like the one that got away when you're dating.
I want to know if they brought a glass slipper when they went to see him. I can't think of anyone who's ever been beseeched into running for the presidency. You got to want it. You got to have a vision.
Well, you know how you get drafted? Don't run.
Don't run. Well, yes, because everybody looks good before they get out there and start saying what they really do.
Well, you know why he looks good. Let me ask why. He can, as we say in Philly, he can talk. He can talk. You can actually hear him when he speaks. He has attitude. You get across. These other guys, you could put Mitt Romney at this table for an hour. He wouldn't convince you of anything because he wouldn't seem passionate about anything.
Well, that's the point. He talks with great passion and great certainty. And sometimes in leadership, you got to speak with great certainty. And boy, he really does that. That's the best thing about him.
And I think the question is, he is also pro-life, which I know may not matter in terms of the Constitution over the 8 years of his presidency. Right. We'll still have a Roe v. Wade in effect, but it soothes the concerns of the people on the cultural right.
Well, no question. I think that's one of the checkoff points, and I think he's got that. There are some other issues that because he's from New Jersey, a little bit different than Iowa conservatives.
Well, he starts with owning the South. Then he picks up a couple of northern cities, a couple of northern states. I mean, that is the appeal of a northerner.
No
They're going to get Mississippi, Alabama. But they're probably going to get at least one of the Carolinas.
But also,
I think they'll get both Carolinas and Virginia.
He doesn't want to run. He's a first-term governor. You know, he's made a big mark bashing the teachers' unions and public sectors, which has backfired in Wisconsin and Ohio and Michigan. So, you know,
it helps in the primaries.
It helps in the primary, but may not help in the
Let's go
general.
to somebody who I do not think is presidential material, but it's just my opinion. Maybe I know too much. Newt Gingrich. I don't get it. I don't know why he's back in public life at this level. I think he's very smart, and he cares about the country. But I don't think he should be a candidate. Here he is, Newt Gingrich, trying to explain his marital infidelities in an interview with David Brody at the Christian Broadcasting Network this March. That's only a few months ago. Let's listen.
There's no question that at times in my life, partially driven by how passionately I felt about this country, that I worked far too hard, and that things happened in my life that were not appropriate. And what I can tell you is that when I did things that were wrong, I wasn't trapped in situation ethics. I was doing things that were wrong, and yet I was doing them.
What does he mean by that? I mean, I blame my patriotism on my infidelity. My infidelity, my patriotism. I've heard a lot of excuses.
I love America so much. I worked so hard. I had to cheat on my wife. It makes perfect sense.
It's not the best answer, obviously, but the one thing I knew.
Well, there aren't great answers. There are no good answers.
Yeah. The thing about Newt is he's extraordinarily smart, and he has really good ideas on how to reform things like health care. He was right on intelligence well before.
Why did he get bounced by your party leadership?
Well, because he said a lot of different things to a lot of different people and couldn't reconcile all the things he said. He was a great visionary. He was not a very good political leader.
Well, wasn't he reprimanded formally on ethics charges?
He also became the person who got charged. He was the person in the campaign. He made promises that he couldn't keep.
Is there a statute of limitations on political promise? We forget it after a few years? I'm serious.
I don't think.
Sure there is. There's always been.
Listen, I think if Newt was seen more seriously, there'd be more attention. If he rises in the polls, all this stuff will come out. He has a record longer than almost anybody else in the race, and it is tainted. You know, you say he had has a lot of good ideas, but if you talk to people who worked for him, they will say he has 20 ideas a day.
But one is really good.
But 19 are terrible.
No, my problem with the guys, I think he believes in, everybody has a certain ratio of nastiness to positive in their approach. Sometimes maybe 2 or 3 good ideas and 80% are just attack dog stuff. I think he went after Jim Wright ferociously, the guy who became in after. I think he's a nasty person as a politician. It's always negative. That's what I think.
He's practiced.
I don't think he's a positive force.
He has he sort of institutionalized thuggish politics. When he was leading GOP and Rising in the House, he would send out lists of language to use against the Democrats, calling them traitors and betrayers.
My own opinions don't always matter here, but they're here. Let me ask you about your party. I think you have a big problem. I think half your political party is mad dog, angry, Tea Party people, and they certainly have a case, which I'm with them on spending. I don't think there's any responsible level of spending. Nobody sits back in Congress and says, well, I can't vote for that spending bill unless I'm willing to pay the taxes for that or raise the taxes. Nobody puts things together, as you know, in the Hill. They just do what they feel like doing. Good point there. But here it is. You have a party of people, all they care about is that, and they're very angry. And then you have the establishment party that just wants to win. Here's Romney. Look at this. It's so interesting. This guy is almost the flip side of Sarah Palin. The Gallup polling out right now shows that Romney's support among people with more college graduates than those who don't college graduate. In other words, he's the only guy of all the people and women who clearly have the educated, highly educated people behind him, relatively, and the lower educated people who may have a high school degree in some college against him. And what that tells me is that's the split in your party. He's not going to get the vote of the outside people.
You know, he polls first or second in almost any poll in primaries. So he's definitely the favorite right now.
Among the establishment.
Well, among the party.
Everybody.
Among the party. He's definitely the favorite. I think what Mitt Romney has answers to questions about the economy. The problem he has is a lack of passion. And he's got to get the passion right and connect with what you're saying.
What does he believe?
Well, I mean, that's the big question. He has to be authentic to himself.
He was pro-life. He was pro-choice in Massachusetts. The minute he left that state and drop-kicked it, he went nationally, became pro-life. He came through what I think is a very good medical plan in Massachusetts because it has a requirement that people take personal responsibility for the health care with the individual mandate. And now he's sort of moving into a party that doesn't believe any of that.
Well, authenticity is something you can't fake. And I think he's got to show passion and show what he truly believes in and fight for it. And
but can you keep changing your mind on dramatic things?
You can't. You can't.
And what he's done to date so far is just really complain that Barack Obama is apologizing to the rest of the world. That argument really went out the window this past week. But also when it comes to economics, he hasn't put forward a single idea. He's not even talking about cutting taxes, which most Republicans do. So here's the guy with all this business-backed expertise, and he's not even putting it to good use.
Can I tip my hat to your party? When President Obama put out his long-form birth, the original paid back, get the lawyer, went out and certified, went through all that rigmarole to get it out. About half the birthers stopped being birthers. So they had legitimate concerns. I don't think they were justified, but they had them in their heads. They got them in their heads. I think a lot of the media and a lot of stuff pushed it into their heads. They changed. The people that won't change got a problem. And it's not his birth certificate. It's a problem they got. But congratulations to your party, because at least half the crazy people aren't crazy now. Anyway, thank you, David Corn.
That's a great compliment.
No, half the people that were raising this issue have dropped it. And the other half have just got a real problem with their own heads.
Well, for most of the leadership, it wasn't a serious issue.
I know, but you know those people out there.
Well,
they were
there were people on both sides.
They would stop
Boehner was
for his driver's license, this crowd. Anyway, thank you, David Corn. Thank you, John Feary.